Acts of Heresy, yes. Yeah, I had quite a lot of fun putting this one together. And I had a few heart attacks as well. So why I'm carrying that up here, I got a little bit of a technical issue with my notes and stuff, and that's because about 2 days ago, I got challenged on one of the pivotal ideas I had in this, and I basically had to rethink the whole thing. But I'll get to that because it's actually in the presentation. Yeah, so acts of heresy, stuff that can possibly get you into trouble. Yeah, so just I've already been introduced, so I won't go into that. So I'm a methodologist and a coach. I am very interested in ways of work and how things can possibly, possibly just create opportunities for value, information, and all those very important things, how they can flow through a business effectively, flow through people effectively. Gravity Works, the story behind that. I got that name from a story that I read. It was a woman that was hiking in the Rockies, and she walked through the parking lot, and obviously Rockies, big mountains, lots of climbers. And she walked past this van that was obviously a climber's van, and they had a big sticker on the back that said, "Gravity Works." And if you're a climber, I think that's something you kind of want in the back of your mind. No matter how well you prepare, if you screw up, the one thing that you can be absolutely assured of is that gravity will work. And kind of that's what happens with transformative organizations as well. The gravity works that you face there is change happens. It is something you can't avoid, you don't want to avoid, but it will happen no matter what you do, no matter what you try. So I love the name, and my two partners and I, we decided to create a company that focuses on gravity that works. Yeah, okay, heresy. Yes, a belief or an opinion that is contrary to orthodox doctrine. The thing that I found quite interesting when I started looking at heresy, and I thought I had a grip on it. It wasn't a bad grip, but there was one thing that I missed, is like the origin of the word heresy. It's from the Greek choice, or choose. You do not become a heretic by accident. It just doesn't happen. It is a conscious choice. And I think it may creep up on you, but when you make that choice, it's made. You start to believe something that generally is not believed anywhere else, and it is really scary. But the beauty of it is that's where the magic happens. I think some of the most incredible things that have happened through the history of mankind, the history of humanity, is those people who woke up one morning and had that really, really scary thought that, wow, the rest of the world hasn't even seen this yet. And then they had the courage to run with it. And I was thinking about, Doug, well, what is the most profound act of heresy? And immediately Galileo jumped to mind. So, Galileo, sorry, I'm just going to jump there. 1633, he was summoned to the Vatican for his incredibly heretical thought that maybe the Earth wasn't the center of the universe. And that maybe, just maybe, the Earth actually rotated around the sun along with the other planets. But that wasn't the belief at the time. The belief at the time was the Earth was the irrefutable center of the universe. And under the threat of torture, possibly death, Galileo recanted, and he promised that he would never utter this heresy to anyone ever again. And he was confined to his home for the last 3 years of his life. But when he walked out the doors of the Vatican, he went and mumbled, "And yet it moves." So he didn't give it up. It took 300 years for the church to admit that Galileo was right. The problem here is that those incredible, earth-shattering, amazing ideas are hidden in shadows of beliefs that are incredibly strong. And we need to be incredibly brave to go there, because you will be branded a heretic. I think Mark Twain said it probably the best around those ideas. It's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you believe with your whole heart that isn't so. And I think that for me is the heart of heresy, is the things that we hold on to the tightest, the things that we hold the dearest, are the things that we need to examine the closest. And we're in an industry where I think there are lots of perceived truths that we need to maybe investigate a little closer. And I think if we do, I think we could find some amazing, amazing results and amazing ideas. So I'm going to give you my 5 heresies. And hopefully I won't get burnt at the stake for this. But I'm willing to try. Okay, so first one. Agile versus agility. I think those two things are very, very different. And a little subtitle there is what you can buy and what you must earn. And I think in many cases we've lost our way with this. So I was looking around for, like, what do I want to unpack with this? And the first thing I found, and I can't find who actually said this, there is no fate worse than that of an enlightened slave. I really, really turned that one around in my head. Like, what does that mean to me? There's no fate worse than that of an enlightened slave. And I started looking for other examples. And I found something else. So the painter, the genius, Monet grew his gardens before he painted them. And that landed for me. It was that enlightenment. How do you move from an enlightened slave to just enlightenment? Monet's genius was because he knew what it felt like to put his hands into the soil of his garden. He knew what the plants smelt like. He knew every plant and why it was there. He knew the nature of it. He knew the texture of the leaves. He knew the shadows that certain plants would cast. And that's why his painting is genius and timeless and absolutely incredible. It's because he had this incredible, incredible connection with what he was painting. You can't buy that passion. You can't buy that experience. You just can't buy it. You have to earn it. You have to live it. You have to put your hands into the soil and feel the texture. Otherwise, it's just not real. I think we're in an industry at the moment that I think is driven in quite a commoditized way. I think we place far too much emphasis on certifications, accreditations, and pieces of paper that we can spend silly amounts of money for. And I was thinking about myself and my journey. And I have my fair share of accreditations. And I was thinking, what is more valuable to me? The 20 minutes that it took me to write an SPC exam? Or the decade of mistakes that I've made in transformative environments? And it's a no-brainer. I mean, the SPC exam, yeah, sure, it gives me the accreditation. I become a safe program consultant. But it's just learning. It's not putting my hands into the soil. I need to be in a transformative environment. I need to see how we make mistakes when we try and take that knowledge, that really complex picture and try and apply it to really complex organizations. And if you don't get that right, that's where you start to learn. Experience is the name that we give our mistakes. And I think one of the things that someone gave me an example, and this was years ago, that experience is the disappointment of expectation. So if you think about like your 4-year-old, I mean, like you got your little child, and he or she starts to learn that if they let their hand open while they're carrying something, it falls to the ground. So they drop coffee mugs, and they drop teddy bears, and they drop the dog, and they drop everything, and then bam, it lands on the floor. It's like, but if I pick this up and whoa, it fell on the floor. And they learn that if you let things go, it hits the ground until they let go of a helium balloon. If you've ever seen the surprise on a 4-year-old's face when he goes, oh, and that's when other interesting things happen. He goes like, oh, shit. And then like your wife looks at you and goes, really? Like, wasn't me. School. Yeah. The disappointment of expectation. So that's heresy number 1. What you can buy and what you must earn. Heresy number 2. Authority versus autonomy, and that fine line between anarchy and enablement. So I've worked in environments where some of the excuses for not getting things done or not moving in the right direction or stasis is the fact that, but our teams are autonomous. They run their own, they can run like their own journey or whatever. But without purpose and focus, autonomy is a vacation. You might as well be on the beach. If you're on the beach, you are 100% autonomous. You're not going to get anything done, though. So you need to set boundaries. You need to set boundaries. You need to create purpose. And that's when autonomy starts to work. I'll give you an example. So coaching at a large digital team, half the floor used Jira, half the floor used Azure DevOps, and the pain point was the fact that aggregated data was really, really difficult. And some poor sod spent days slaving over a hot Excel spreadsheet, and they wondered why. So I said, well, you need to make a decision. You know, what do you want? How important are those aggregated metrics? No, but the teams are autonomous. They can choose what they want. Okay, that's fantastic. You're not setting boundaries. You're not making any decisions. So you're basically allowing them to be on a vacation. So you make the decision. You either write or you learn. Both of those things are good. Both of those outcomes are good. I mean, autonomy without those boundaries and without purpose and without support is useless. Facts and fables. So I tend to hear lots about destinations. Agile is a journey. Agile is a journey, yes. We're on a journey. And there's lots of fuzzy little bits in between this destination and that fabled journey. Well, here's the next heresy. There is no destination. And there is no journey either. Neither of those things work. So I'll give you some examples. An executive once said to me, we were talking about this, why are you adopting Agile? Why do you want agility? And the response was, we want to be the best retail bank in the world. You may guess who that is, but anyway. We want to be the best retail bank in the world. I said, well, that's not a goal. That is not a goal. It's not a destination. It's a state of being. Very similar to agility. It's a state of being. You don't just get there and all of a sudden, like, angels start going, and like, wow, this is amazing. You know, we have got the Agile. We have installed it. It's pretty much along the lines, if you guys heard about the DevOps, it's really similar. You know, we've got the DevOps. We're going to put a DevOps person in every team. What does that mean? It's like putting an Agile person in every team. It's not going to, what is that? It's like thinking of this little green thing with bulbous eyes. It doesn't work. It's like you are not going to get there. The other thing was, we want 95% employee retention. What does that mean? That's not a goal. It's a byproduct of really hard work and discipline and creating an environment where people do not want to leave. It's not a goal. It's like, I want to climb Everest, and once I get to the top, it's amazing. I'm just going to stand there and die. Agility is all about making those decisions. And it's a collective. It's decisions, decisions, decisions. You have to make them. And the scary thing is not making a decision is a decision in itself. It's just a really bad one. The really important thing, though, and this is just something to consider, and this is how easy agility and transformation gets. When I make that decision, is it making life easier? If it's yes, it's the right decision. It comes down to that. Are we better than yesterday? You don't have to change the entire world. You don't have to put a dent in the universe. Sorry, Steve. You don't. You just have to be better than yesterday. And if you're better than yesterday today, and you're better than yesterday tomorrow, and you're better than yesterday the day after that, sooner or later, you're going to be exceptional. It's like I speak to my son about, doing weights, and he's like, Dad, I've done like 3 days of curls, and my arms are still tiny. I'm like, dude, do 3 weeks of curls, and then talk to me. Do 3 months of curls, and then talk to me. 3 months of curls, you won't need to talk to me. You're going to have really good arms. But just keep going. Just better than yesterday. That's all you need. It is that simple. Hierarchy versus networks, and this is where people lose their minds. Like, what? What hierarchy? No, but that's the way it is. When you get into a corporate, you need to understand that that's the way it is, hierarchy. Yep. I read a really good book last week by Ben Horowitz. What you do is who you are. If you can find that one, read it. It's really good. And he talks about visible structures versus requisite structures. So the visible structure is your org chart. That's what it kind of looks like. You've got some dude at the top and some people just below that dude, and then you've got other people, and you've got your poor middle management that just get run ragged, and then you get guys in the engine room that actually do the damn work. Your org structure is not how work flows through your organization. It does not. That is your visible structure, your extant structure. But the requisite structure is what really happens to make value flow. So why don't we start focusing on that? Why don't we just step away from something that just practically just doesn't work? Hierarchies fail because they create separation. They absolutely create separation. Time and time again, I've seen senior management go, well, why can't that team just work around the clock? Don't they understand that this is a 20 billion rand project, and if they don't move their asses, we are going to lose all that money? Here's the trick. There are no such thing as other people. There's no such thing as other people. We're in this together, and if we don't do it together, well, then what's the point? I spoke to that senior management. I said, are you available around the clock, just by the by? If you expect them to work around the clock, are you available for a 3 o'clock in the morning phone call when they go, that proverbial pineapple has just hit the fan. We need your help. We need your support. And they talk about things like that. And I think one of the lessons, the 2,000-year-old lesson, you take a look at the Romans. The Romans thought, well, how do we get a vested interest in our warships? A vested interest. Oh, I got an idea. Let's chain the slaves to the boat. Because if the boat sinks, boy, oh boy, are you in shit. Okay? So you chain to the boat, so you better damn well row. You better row. It's like, if you don't work around the clock, maybe we'll fire you. That type of stuff. We're chained to the boat. The problem is human nature. At some other point, you're going to get tired of being whipped. And there's your senior manager, boom, 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 boom. And you row, row, row. And eventually you're going to go, actually, I'm going to stop rowing just to see the expression on your face. Now, if you're a Roman, that would be one of those moments where you clench. You go, sorry, guys, can we talk about incentive schemes? Yeah, a little bit too late. If you don't pay attention, and you don't get connected into that network, that requisite structure, the structure that is needed for value to flow through your organization, your boat will sink. It may sink slowly, but it will sink. There are no other people. You're not beating a drum. If you're a leader, you are the glue. You provide purpose. You provide meaning. You are, at best, support. You can't stop here. This is Bat Country. Hunter S. Thompson. I love Hunter S. Thompson. Okay, when he coined that phrase, he was driving in a convertible through the Las Vegas desert, Nevada desert, and he was looking at manta rays that were flying through the sky. But I think he was onto something. Maybe it'll make transformations a lot easier. Eat this mushroom. What we're finding, we are in Bat Country. I think many organizations are sitting in Bat Country. We're like in this halfway house, and we can't decide whether we're in or whether we're out. We want this the Agile, but we don't want to really extend ourselves. Now, why I had so much trouble with this, I got challenged about don't define yourself by what you oppose. Define yourself by what you love. And it made this talk so difficult because it is so easy to bash everything. It's so easy to bash everything. But we look at where large organizations are going and what they're trying to do and what they're looking at as examples. And the bottom line is you're not Spotify, you're not Google, you're not Netflix. You're something different. And you can't do what they did. There's no blueprint. There's no way that you can just install. It can't be scripted, it can't be mandated, and it can't be bought. And every rule is subject to a good question. And the thing here, getting out of Bat Country as a leader, the one thing you've really got to hold on to, and I've seen it so many times, it's like we want our people to be agile. You cannot lead anyone anywhere where you are not willing to go yourself. If you're not willing to go there, no one will follow you. They can't because you're just standing still. Speed, quality, collaboration, excitement, purpose, love. They're all byproducts of discipline, hard work, blood, sweat, tears, mistakes. Yeah. They're not some framework. You can't buy it. You can't certify it. So my heresies, stop trying to buy agility, earn it. Stop trying to empower teams because you actually don't empower teams. That kind of doesn't work for me. It means you have to be there to empower them. No. Give them purpose, boundaries, and support. Much better. The empowerment happens then. Stop trying to arrive. Agility is a state of being that requires discipline, thought, and passion. Stop paying attention to your org chart. Get connected. Get connected. The requisite structure is there. Pay attention to it. It is powerful. And if you pay attention to it, magic is going to happen. And don't stop in Bat Country. Define yourself by what you love and find your way. Your way. This quote for me is like the essence of my soul. I love it. We are not here to rewire the world. We are here to create a world with fewer wires. If every decision you make satisfies this, it makes people's lives better. It makes delivery easier. It makes processes simpler. It is the right decision. And as far as I'm concerned, that's agility. Thank you.